right, folks, welcome back to this breaking news we're following right here on Live Impact News. As I just mentioned before we went to break, we just got the NBA Rookie of the Year announcement. Our Danielle Stein joining us to talk more about that. We had kind of previewed this earlier, the fact, Danielle, that Knueppel was in the running, and it was kind of seemingly playing out between him and Cooper Flagg. Cooper Flagg was the one who ended up walking away with that title.
Yeah, we were all waiting for this award. I think the entire NBA sphere knew that this was the most competitive of these end of season awards because it could have really gone either way between Con and his former roommate at Duke just a season ago, Cooper Flagg. Cooper was the #1 overall pick. Con was 4th overall. The two of them were kind of going back and forth a lot of the season. Both of them, East Rookie of the Month, West Rookie of the Month. They were both doing it. Con got one more of those awards than Cooper did, so maybe that gave him a lift. The moral of the story between these two players, and what I think I'm imagining the voting came down to, is the numbers. Cooper Flagg's overall statistics are better between his points, between his assists, and just his leading the Dallas Mavericks. But to be fair, the Dallas Mavericks were a team with 23 wins this season. They were not as competitive, so on a lot of nights, Cooper Flagg had to be the only one taking control of his team. Absolutely, that should put him in the running and in high contention for Rookie of the Year. What Con was able to do with averaging just a couple less than Cooper in pretty much every statistic, but to do it on a winning team and to do it as a lot of times a third option along with LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller, who were also doing such a good thing. I think that also speaks a lot of volumes. I really, again, think it could have gone either way. We saw the rhetoric for most of the year, though, thinking it was going Con's way. So I think it's a bit of a shock and a bit of a disappointment for people hearing this result.
I know you were even kind of alluding to the potential there could be like a twofer, like just let them both have it. I think you did make an interesting point earlier, though, when we were chatting, the fact that I guess seemingly the sample size is a bit smaller for Flagg in the number of games that we actually saw him in.
Yeah.
So there was, I'm biased because I'm a Hornets fan, but
Sure.
more of an, endurance factor for Knueppel.
Right.
Who
Con played
more.
in all but one game this past season, 81 of 82, not including, of course, the 2 games in the play-in where the Mavericks were not even sniffing the postseason this season. Cooper went through an injury. He ended up missing during the All-Star break when he was a rising star as well. He wasn't able to participate in that game. A couple other games, I think he finished with 70 out of 82 games on the season. So if you're looking at number just averaging, of course, if you do it for a longer period of time and it's a little bit less, it's still showing that you're able to sustain those types of numbers longer for Con's case. Cooper, though, especially towards the end of the season, he was great all year long. Don't get me wrong. He's such a fun player to watch, especially we got to see him playing with Duke just a year ago, but he was torching in the last 2 weeks of the season.
Absolutely.
And I think there's a lot of recency, too, to seeing that, especially while Con was having some of his numbers declining as well at the end. So maybe that was in the minds of the voters. Cooper had 2 games where he went back-to-back and combined for, I believe, 100 points in the last couple games. So a lot of nights where they were playing against teams who either were already in the playoffs and knew their fate or just knew that they had no chance, Cooper was getting the ball, he was throwing up shots, and he was stacking a lot of stats really late in the season too.
Yeah. Our director Sean had actually asked us before we just came back from break was when did they actually take these votes? So I think to your point about the recency, I could buy that, and the fact that numbers wise, like I don't know if I could specifically peg it at a certain number of games, but let's just say like the last 5 games of the season, I don't know, I felt like Con was struggling to make like some of those threes, like some of those steady like shots we usually can rely on him to make. And I don't know if it was like an endurance thing getting towards the end of the season, but yeah, maybe if it was just like they took the vote right there when the season ended. Right. And maybe it was like a recency thing. I don't know.
And I think a lot of the conversation too, especially just with how Con did perform in the postseason as well, that was everyone's lasting impression of Con. Yes, the votes will probably, I believe, were all cast before it, but still the national conversation talking about Con had 1 3-pointer made in the 2 games against Miami and against Orlando, which is obviously nothing to his standard, having led the entire league this season, broke the rookie record for threes in a season, broke the Hornets record for threes in a season. But seeing the disparity in the votes, we just saw the final count, Cooper with 56 first place votes, Con with 44. They were saying it was a close margin this year, but that is much wider than I had anticipated it was going to be, especially when it came down to those two. And you saw the difference, I think, between the two of them, with doing great on a winning basketball team and doing great on a losing basketball team. I wasn't sure if maybe winning is something that the voters would also have considered more highly, but it seems like the voters looked at those numbers. Cooper led in every statistic for the Dallas Mavericks this season. He was phenomenal. He was the number 1 pick for a reason. But of course, obviously, you think about his good friend Con as well too, and saw what he did this season. We got a close view being here in Charlotte, and no one can understate how great he was.
Yeah, I mean, it's been spectacular watching him as a Hornets fan, go into those games and seeing like seemingly just like the spark that has sparked amongst the team, and knowing that his arrival has to do, be a big part of that. I feel like you kind of alluded to the fact, their relationship to each other. Any idea like how this dynamic might go? I mean, because I just feel like the storyline all year was like talking about like, oh, well, when are they going to play each other? And like not necessarily like pitting them against each other, but there was a little like competition type of thing that
I don't think they probably
brought up.
Exactly. They're probably creating that narrative from the outside. I just was listening to, as they were revealing the announcement on TV. We were just watching it on Peacock just right before this, and they asked Cooper a little bit about Con, and Cooper said, obviously I'm a fan of the NBA and everything, but I'm a fan of Con. And yes, he's my really good friend, but I'm a huge fan of the way he plays the game. So I'm always checking the box scores and always trying to catch up on what he does. I think there's no bad blood between there. I think back to draft night when Con was getting drafted. It was a moment where Cooper was sitting down for a live interview, and in the background he heard Con's name get called. He totally broke character to stand up and cheer for Con.
Oh, that's great.
They're great friends. They had an amazing run at Duke together for their 1 season. Cooper's 19, Con 20. Like when they're younger players and they're in this kind of world where they're thrown into being professionals right away. I think they're gonna hopefully keep this good competition going by being 2 really strong players, but there's no bad blood left in this one for sure.
Yeah, seems like some good characters there.
Yeah, and I think what you said too about what Con has done here in Charlotte, I think Charles Lee and Jeff Peterson have both talked a lot about how these are big cultural picks for their draft. Getting those 4 rookies this year with Liam McNeely, Sion James, Ryan Cockbetter, it's really turned around the culture of the Hornets. They're trying to find these high character guys who are here to be mature and here to be all basketball, all business. They found that especially at their number 4. Con is someone who I've talked to multiple times this season. I've sat down with him for 2 one-on-one interviews this year. I've interviewed his mom, and the consensus is he is mature beyond his years. And you could see that kind of in his game as well, too.
Indeed. Well, such is the situation.
Yep. Hornets know that he's their rookie of the year.
And it does not change, I think, how the fans feel about him. Absolutely.
No.
Anything you'd like to wrap things up with before we wrap it up here?
No, not really. I guess the NBA draft is already the next thing on the table, so the Hornets will be looking for their next crop of rookies, and who knows?
Talking about
I know. We just finished the NFL draft.
Just did.
It's not till June, so we still have a little bit of ways to go.
That's going to be like 2 days from now.
It all happens so fast. Like then they go to Vegas for Summer League, and then it all starts over again. So it's a good paving of the way, obviously, for what rookies can do. We saw LaMelo Ball, who had won Rookie of the Year during his rookie season.
Yeah.
It can happen here in Charlotte. We'll just see, obviously, where the Hornets land in the lottery, where they'll be picking, and just go from there.
Yeah, indeed. Well, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Only good things
to be coming for the Hornets.
All right. Danielle, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, folks, we'll take a quick break here. We'll be back in 2 minutes with more Live Impact.